The night felt unbearably heavy as the leader of a political party sat alone, surrounded by sealed bags filled with promises, ambition, and responsibility. Yet none of it brought comfort because silence pressed against his chest, and sleep felt like an enemy rather than relief, while power, without inner stability, suddenly felt fragile, uncertain, and exposed as though something essential had already begun slipping away. When sleep finally arrived, it did not restore him, but pulled him into a disturbing dream, where crowds watched his authority weaken, his presence shrink, and his strength leak away. Slowly, as if something vital was draining from his body, while he stood frozen, unable to stop the collapse unfolding before him. Despite years spent building control, influence, and command, he woke abruptly with his heart racing, not only from fear, but from recognition, because the dream felt less like imagination and more like accusation, delivered by something deeper than conscious thought, reminding him that inner decay always appears before outer failure becomes visible to the world. Power rarely disappears through dramatic collapse, it erodes quietly through repeated habits. Men dismiss as harmless until one day, the absence becomes undeniable and the mirror reflects a version of oneself that feels unfamiliar, hollow, and strangely disconnected from former confidence, drive, and authority. Every man carries deep reservoirs of strength far beyond muscle status or position. Yet very few are taught how easily those reserves can be drained without visible scars, because modern life celebrates indulgence, comfort, and distraction while ignoring long-term energetic consequence. The earliest warnings never announce themselves loudly. They whisper through restless nights, fading focus, irritability, and a persistent exhaustion that no amount of sleep seems to repair, because the depletion is internal, psychological, emotional, and deeply energetic. That leader had not been weakened by enemies, betrayal, or circumstance, but by a private surrender, repeated silently, without awareness, discipline, or respect for the force he carried, believing momentary relief had no lasting cost. Long before comfort softened resolve, men understood pleasure, demanded respect, and that life force was never meant to be treated casually, because it carried responsibility far beyond momentary sensation, gratification, or escape. They knew, when a man released his seed impulsively, something far greater than pleasure escaped the body, because creation itself had been spent without direction, purpose, or reverence for what it represented. What left could not be seen, yet its absence accumulated, slowly shaping the man who remained behind, altering posture, confidence, motivation, presence, and inner fire. Over time, in ways he struggled to explain, this force is not excess energy or surplus vitality, but the most refined creation of the body, drawn from deep, biological, ancestral, and psychological reserves, shaped by survival, pressure, and intention across time, giving it weight far beyond ordinary physical output. Nature invests minerals, hormones, vitality, and generational memory into nothing else with such precision, because this force carries continuity, legacy, and future potential, forward-linking, past, present, and unborn possibility. To waste it impulsively is to discard what survival itself protected across countless generations of restraint, sacrifice, discipline, and conscious choice, often made under far harsher conditions than modern comfort. The cost never arrives immediately, which is why indulgence feels harmless at first and habits form quietly without resistance while depletion continues. Unseen beneath the surface, days fade into weeks, weeks dissolve into months, and inner strength weakens without obvious explanation, leaving confusion, frustration, and a sense of loss that feels difficult to name. Eyes lose sharpness, posture softens, discipline fractures, and ambition begins to feel heavy, distant, and strangely exhausting despite external success or opportunity. What disappears is not energy alone, but unrealized futures, waiting patiently for form, direction, and expression held within the man himself. Inside that force exist fragments of life carrying continuity, identity, potential, and inherited strength that seek purpose rather than waste. Each careless release carries echoes of paths erased before they could ever begin, creating subtle grief without clear origin. This is why guilt arises without conscious cause, and dreams grow darker, because the subconscious tracks energetic truth beyond rationalization. The subconscious remembers what the waking mind ignores, justifies, or rationalizes, because it operates beyond comfort and social permission, holding records of imbalance that surface through emotion, instinct, and dream. Ancient cultures guarded seed because they understood it carried generations, not pleasure alone, and that misuse disrupted inner order, social stability, and masculine clarity. Every man stands at the end of restraint, devotion, sacrifice, and survival that preserved this force through famine, war, responsibility, and deliberate choice. That energy traveled through countless unions, decisions, and disciplined lives to arrive at the present moment, carrying weight far heavier than individual desire. To spill it carelessly is to turn away from inheritance and responsibility, choosing impulse over continuity and short relief over long purpose. What was once sacred union is now exchanged for temporary escape, numbness, and distraction, leaving the inner world fragmented and restless. Each careless act creates absence rather than fulfillment, replacing depth with repetition and weakening the structure of will and presence. It becomes a silent funeral held without witnesses, for futures erased quietly, without acknowledgement, reflection, or grief. Yet when this force is held, something remarkable begins to unfold within the man, altering his internal landscape and perception of self. Desire does not vanish, it changes direction, rising upward, seeking mastery, creation, focus, and purpose, rather than immediate release. The same current once meant to create life outward begins to rise inward, strengthening will, clarity, focus, and presence as the man learns to contain rather than discharge. The force shaping him, men who retain feel pressure build behind their eyes, within their chest, and through their spine, sharpening awareness and grounding confidence without external validation. Disturbing dreams slowly fade, replaced by deeper rest, emotional stability, and a sense of internal order returning to the nervous system. Mental fog lifts, revealing ambition once buried beneath exhaustion, indulgence, and constant distraction, allowing vision to resurface. Modern science now mirrors what ancient wisdom preserved through observation, discipline, and lived experience rather than belief. Retention stabilizes, hormones restoring drive, focus, emotional balance, resilience, and long-term motivation rather than short spikes. Energy once wasted now fuels discipline, confidence, magnetism, and a quiet authority that others sense without explanation. The body stops leaking life outward and begins construction inward, building strength, patience, endurance, and internal alignment. Presence strengthens without effort, respect arrives naturally, and boundaries solidify without aggression or performance. Nature responds when its resources are honored rather than squandered, because balance has been restored internally. This is consequence, not punishment, alignment, not morality, order, not judgment, and cause rather than superstition. Years of careless release compound weakness, fatigue, and inner erosion, leaving men confused, disconnected, and searching for answers. Many recognize this truth too late, when strength has already faded and regret becomes heavier than effort. All right, you've got this incredible energy, now don't let it dissipate. Before you click off, prove you were here. Smash that like button, and if you're serious about this journey, hit subscribe right now. This isn't just a channel, it's a movement. I want to know where the next wave of power is coming from, so drop your city or country in the comments below. For direct answers and our inner community's best secrets, the Telegram link is in the description. And please, share this fire with the one person who needs it most today. Go be a force. Have a truly powerful day. If this video gave you real value, tap the thanks button. Your support helps me keep creating deeper content like this. Every thanks is a spark that keeps this mission alive. Your support means more than you know. Yet redemption begins the moment restraint becomes conscious, intentional, and sustained through daily choice. Preserved life force returns vitality, alignment, magnetism, clarity, and a renewed sense of direction. Opportunities open not through luck, but through internal coherence, focus, and energetic integrity. The universe moves more freely through disciplined carriers of its will, responding to structure rather than chaos. Every man faces this choice daily, whether he acknowledges it or continues unconsciously repeating patterns. Spend the force and fade quietly into exhaustion, distraction, and regret without understanding why. Or guard it and rise steadily into the destiny, waiting patiently within.